Okay, and now we have an introduction from our new Marysville Police Chief, Chris Sachs.
What's that? Sure. There's no cool sound to my presentation. Ms. Mayor, Honorable Council, thank you for having me this evening. Just to say a few words, my name's Christian Sachs. I am the newly appointed Chief of Police for City of Marysville. I've been the interim chief since November, appointed as the full-time chief March 1st of 2018. We've got a lot of great things going on in our little city. It's been quite busy the last 30 days or so, getting my feet underneath me and to try to answer some of the questions. We have 19 sworn officers from top to bottom. I think we have the same problem as most agencies do as far as recruitment and retention, especially with all the national media stuff that's taken place throughout the whole U.S. There's a lot less people that want to go into the law enforcement profession, and with all the vacancies that are there, everybody's vying for that same pool of people. I can tell you that we have a great department for the small amount of people that we have. This Yuba City community, since I've taken over, has been open arms with me to kind of relate to what the captain was saying. I too met Sean 20 years ago in '97. I was a patrol officer with the city of Williams, and he was a patrol officer for the highway patrol at that point in time. And I've known him for the last 20 years. I came to Marysville and he came to Marysville. Chief Landon's been a mentor of mine for the last several years. I've coached football at River Valley junior program for 8 years. I know there's a lot of people here from River Valley, but we're transitioning to Sutter, sorry. Got 4 beautiful kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. Some of them, or 3 of them, go to Tierra Buena School, and the other one goes to Sutter High School. Right now, my wife works for probation. She's also a licensed clinical social worker, so I do not stand a chance. I can't get away with anything at home. So just in case you were curious about that. So I'm just excited. So thank you for having me. I was asked to give a little bit of a brief on some of the things that we're doing in our little city across the river. We started our community partnership initiative a few months ago, so we can interact with our community more effectively. It's almost like a community policing program, but we called it a partnership because it's community driven and department managed. If you go to our website, www.marysvillepd.org, and go to our community partnership page, if you hover over any one of the city maps, or that's the city there, if you hover over any portion of the city, there's 4 different zones. The zones highlight themselves, and it tells you that's zone 2, gives you a picture of each officer that's assigned to that zone for the community policing problems. So that way it puts a name and a face to those issues that are happening in that neighborhood so that people can interact with them. It gives a zone 2 email address and a phone number for contact information. So if there's anything happening in that particular area, they can contact those 2 officers, start establishing that relationship and that bond with them. Those officers in turn identify those key issues in their area, and we'll be able to have community partnership meetings in those specific zones, identify key stakeholders, so that way they can try to improve the quality of life in their neighborhood. So it's community driven, and us pretty much managing it as we get those groups together. So we've been pretty successful with that so far. There's been a lot of positive feedback. We also launched our Next Door app, and I know that Yuba City has that as well. We saw that, interjected that into our community partnership initiative, so that way we can do push out notifications through our Next Door app if there's any emergency situations or any parade details or any road closures and stuff like that. We can get information out. So we usually use it solely for pushing out information to the community. So that's a little bit about our community partnership initiative. We have a newly developed community court program. Obviously, homelessness is a big topic in the Yuba and Sutter communities in our region. It's been a hot button topic for quite some time. And so I tried to figure out how can we make things a little bit different and try to think of more ideas. Obviously, in Yuba County, we have 14 Forward. We have the new Life Building Center with coordinated entry, where it's a day center where they can take showers, do laundry. They get assigned a caseworker through Health and Human Services, so we can provide additional services to them. We have from low-level counseling to high-level mental health counseling to job placement and all these things that take place there. But additionally, what we were seeing is the homeless population that was coming in to get services, if they had warrants for their arrest or outstanding cases, warrants and those pending crimes were a barrier for services. So in talking to the homeless consortium about it, they decided that since I had a voice with them, that they would appoint me as the president of the homeless consortium. So I'm kind of wearing both hats now as the law enforcement official and the homeless consortium executive board president. So what we did was come up with a different idea of breaking the cycle. So breaking the cycle is helping the homeless individuals that go to the coordinated entry that are trying to get services. If they have an outstanding warrant or an outstanding case and they come to get services, we're now adopting a program where they can get those warrants and those cases continued for a new court date, so they can be continued to offer services. And then once we've designated a special court date in Yuba County for them to attend, our first court date is actually going to be on my birthday, May 1st. So what's going to happen is those individuals' cases will be heard by a specific judge, and that judge and the caseworkers that will be there are going to try to guide them through the homeless services, through the Life Building Center, to try to get some services, to try to get back on their feet. And those that do partake in that program, maybe the cases go away, maybe there's leniency on those cases, maybe there's other things that the court can do, but it's trying to help steer them towards that direction. So it's essentially trying to coordinate as many services as we possibly can under one roof, and this gives us a new avenue to kind of drive that. So we are going to be trying to do also an alternative work program out of this as we build it further. A lot of what we're seeing is it's a trust issue. A lot of them feel that if they go into court, they're not going to walk out of court. So this will help build that trusting relationship between them and the caseworkers. But then also a lot of them want to be held accountable from what we're seeing in the surveys that we're doing. And so they want to be able to come in front of somebody and tell somebody how good they're doing. And so it's one of those things where this new community court program will be able to be an avenue for us to help them out. So we had our Citizens Academy. We had 3 of them over the course of the last few years. We kind of brought it back out and dusted it off and just re-energized it. We had a record number this year for our Citizen Academy. Anybody's welcome. We had several participants from that reside in Yuba City that participated. There's our group photo. We just had graduation at our last council meeting last week. We had a record 48 people attend our Citizen Academy. Some of the things that we did were pedal cart, DUI distracted driving. Some of you might have seen it in the newspaper. The newspaper did like an 8-part series on it. DUI wet lab, where we brought in actual subjects that had been drinking and intoxicated. Officers came in and did live field sobriety tests on people that were intoxicated. And then the 4 different groups had to decide whether they felt they were under the influence and needed to go to jail or whether they would let them go. And they got to see the objective signs and symptoms up close and in person. We've got a state-of-the-art shoot simulator at our department. They got to go through that. So we have over 300 different scenarios where we put all of the citizens that took it in these real scenarios with, Glock handguns, a duty belt. They're reacting to the scenarios just like we see it out on the street. And we got them as closest to that interaction as possible without having to be out on it in the street. So we've got a lot of positive feedback on that. We also did a self-defense course and some use of force, and then a canine demonstration. And one of the other things that we highlight on is just because we continue to partner with our local school district, with Marysville Joint and Yuba County Office of Education, because this is always a hot topic with school safety. We implemented this program a couple years ago. We're the first police department in the nation to incorporate this system into our dispatch center. And this application for school safety is a 2-way communication All of our officers, our staff, our dispatch, they all have capabilities to this system. And what it does is it gives you real-time communication and student accountability. So from my smartphone right now, I can lock down any school in the whole Marysville Joint Unified School District within about 5 to 7 seconds. We can correspond with teachers and stuff that when they're on lockdown. We coordinate with the student information system, so teachers can account for students while they're in the lockdown procedures. So instead of post-incident, like we see a lot of times, we're going through a student roster, and if you have 3,000 kids at your school and we're trying to find 3,000 kids after an incident, this system allows the teachers to be able to check off all those students during the incident and geolocates where they're at and who accounted for them. So after the incident, maybe we're only looking for 100 or so students that were absent because they were sick or ran off campus during the incident. Allows us to take photos on scene, so a teacher has injuries or sees something that's suspicious, can take a photo of it, and it uploads, it notifies everybody on that safety team. It tells us who did it, geolocates where it's at, the school map, along with a contact number that we can contact them and talk to them with. Our dispatch center has it now, so what we end up doing is we have spheres of influence for all of our schools outlined. And so what happens is if we have a pursuit or a major incident that's heading towards one of our schools and they're heading towards one of those spheres of influence, our dispatchers log into this system. They notify whatever school is in that sphere of influence to let them know that we have police activity in the area so they can implement their protocols. Because a lot of times what we were seeing is we would make those phone calls and we get the phone tree. And then as you go through the phone tree and you finally get to somebody, the incident's pretty much over. And when the officers are out there near the school, you have 100 kids standing at the chain link fence watching everything that you're doing when they should have had their protocols implemented and either been on a soft lockdown or a hard lockdown or implementing whatever safety procedure they had. So the reason I bring this up is just, it's always one of those hot topics of school safety because everything that we, see that's, happening quite often and all the time. And so it's just a small number of some of the projects and things that we're doing in the city, and just thought I would bring those and share those with you guys, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have for me if you have any.
Great. Anyone have any questions?
Cool, I got off easy. No. None? Good?
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.